Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you a Viper site execute on every site in the game. With the recent buff to Viper in patch 1.04, using her wall and smoke together does not cost additional fuel. You can use her wall and smoke for up to 15 seconds now, meaning you have a much larger window to use her abilities to help your team take a site. All these executes are designed to block line of sight from commonly held defending positions, and sometimes to push a defending player off an angle. The first execute is for the A site of Ascent. This site is a bit tricky as you can't get a great angle to deploy your wall from, and anyways, anyone on rafters can just see above it if it's deployed lower down its site. To counteract this, I use the smoke to block the defender's entrance to rafters, and then use the end of the wall to block line of sight of anyone playing behind the box. The wall also blocks line of sight from A-Link, letting your team close the door easily, as well as from Hell and the left side of sight behind the metal box. Using this setup makes it much easier to push from A main into the site. Next up is B site. This wall allows you to quickly rush from B main into the B site without having to worry about anyone playing in mid market or the defender's spawn. The smoke is mainly placed here for a post plant situation, although if you know someone's holding an angle close to this wall, you could use it to block their line of sight as you push in from B main. Once you've taken the site and planted the spike, you can use the wall and smoke again to stall the defenders trying to retake it. They'll have to push through them, making it much harder for them to enter site. Especially now that the decay effect of her abilities lasts for 2.5 seconds after the player leaves it, so not only do they have no information, they'll be damaged as well. Next is bind. On A site, I like to use my abilities from the shower area, although they work especially well if part of your team are pushing from A short at the same time. The smoke will force anyone holding an angle on A short back into lamps or into the open where your team can take them out. The wall needs to be placed on top of the boxes in sight. This raises the wall up, blocking line of sight from A heaven into A short, which is a commonly held operator angle. It also blocks line of sight into showers from A heaven. Once the wall and smoke are up, your team can safely push into sight from both showers and A short. All the angles these entrances can be held from are now blocked. Just be careful of anyone playing on the boxes by showers, and the immediate right of A short, as a defending player could still be in these positions. Also, let your team know when the wall is about to come down, as they may be very exposed if the defending team have just held their positions waiting for your abilities to run out. Next is B site. Very similar to A site, this execute helps both your team push from B long as well as hooker into site. Just be careful, as to use the abilities you have to cross the doorway to garden, which could be being watched from site. The smoke is used to force anyone out of the cubby area, as well as blocking off line of sight under the wall where it goes over the tunnel. The wall blocks the view of any defender in elbow, the back of sight, or the defender's spawn. Your team should quickly be able to come into sight and plant the spike by the tunnel. Make sure you cover whoever is doing this, as the defender may hear the plant going down and risk quickly pushing through the smoke to stop it. Once the spike is down and you know the remaining defenders are rotating through their spawn, you can use the wall again, as to get up the ramp into sight they'll have to push through the wall, making it much easier to kill them. Next up is Haven. On the A site, everyone knows that defensive power position is in the window, so we'll use our smoke to counter that. This throw takes a bit of practice but lands inside the window, making it impossible for the defending team to hold from there. Throwing it from this angle works especially well, as it forces anyone hiding on the right hand side of the window back down towards the stairs area, so your team can't be caught out by someone peeking instantly after the smoke goes down. I'll then use the wall from sewers over the box in the middle of sight. This also blocks line of sight from the window to sewers, but it's mainly just to break the site in half, blocking line of sight from any defenders playing within the site itself. Just be careful of anyone playing on your hard left as you come out of sewers. Again, this setup is also brilliant at delaying a defender retake, as you force the defending team to funnel through A-Link whenever your smoke is up, although I suppose they could just try jumping out the window if they wanted. B-site is pretty difficult to use Viper effectively on, but this was the best execute I came up with if it's needed. The wall is not only used to block line of sight from C-Link into B-site, but it also cuts the middle of the map in half, meaning your team can safely push out of window without having to worry about a defender pushing out from garage. Then I'll use my smoke to block the angle from the right hand side of sight, as defenders like to play on the boxes in the corner sometimes. This execute works better if your team is rushing, just make sure someone holds the left hand side of sight as someone plants. Once the spike's down, you can use the wall to protect your left hand side if you're holding the spike from window. Finally for Heaven, we're on to C site. I use the smoke to cover the angle from behind the box into sight down C long. Just be careful of anyone who jumps up onto the metal platform at the back of the site if you use this smoke. Using this smoke should at least give you a bit of time to push up C-long safely, without the certain death of dry peeking an operator holding the angle down it. I then use the wall to cut off the right hand side of site, making it much harder for defending players to rotate in and help to stop the plant. Just be careful of anyone playing behind the box on the right of C-long. Once the spike is down, I'll tend to only use my wall, allowing my team to freely rotate throughout the site, whereas the defending team must push through the wall or run out of time. If I'm the last player left, I'll retreat down C-long and use my smoke at the same time as the wall. I'll then hold an angle on the smoke to shoot anyone who pushes through it. Last up is split. The walls on this map are very effective, as both sites have a heaven area which can be blocked off easily by using the wall. For the A site, I use the wall from back in spawn. If I'm using this execute, it works best as part of a rush, as if you deploy down all your utility, you're telling the defending team where you're about to push, but then if you then push slowly, the defending team have time to rotate to the site to stop it. I'll then throw my smoke to block off the angle from screens or elbow into A main. The wall does the job of two smokes, blocking line of sight from both heaven and ramps, letting your team safely push into the site. Just be careful of defenders playing on your hard left as you enter the site, as well as just in the site itself. Also, as the smoke covers both screens and elbows, if any defenders were in that position, they may well rotate into site through elbow, so don't be surprised if you find someone there. Finally onto B site. This is basically a carbon copy of the last execute, but this time on B. Again use the wall to block off the line of sight from heaven into the site, and then use the smoke to block the entrance to the site from the defender's spawn. As you push into site from B main, you still have to be careful of anyone playing in back B or behind the pillar. The smoke is helpful because it stops any defenders pushing out of their spawn as you plant the spike. It's also great in a post-plant situation because it makes it much easier to predict where the retake might be coming from, as it wouldn't be a good idea for the defenders to push through the smoke into site. I've made another video going over some great Viper wall placement for map control, so check that out here. Thanks for watching!